You're not blind yet.
Okay.
I think all you need to say in your presentation is it available for me to put on my son's iOS device?
Okay. Well,
Yes.
we'll have some anticipation. Okay. Hello, Internet. We are BetterNet. So I'm Doug Leonard, Troy Shields, and Colton Shields. And over the past couple months, we started this project this past summer in July. And as a result of a conversation with my dad and talking about there really not being anything available for parental controls on the mobile devices, we've built BetterNet. And in particular, we set out with BetterNet to create a real filtering solution for your iPhones and iPads. And we quickly learned that's not necessarily what everyone wanted. It's a lot of people really want filtering, but everyone wants some way to get their child to put down their device. And so we pivoted, and what we'll present to you today is our plan of how to get you and your child to limit their time in front of those devices. So here's a picture of Troy when he was a young child.
I had a prototype iPhone. It wasn't out yet, but.
So this is really, when you look at the statistics, 1 in 5 of all children in America under the age of 8 use a mobile device every single day. So that's as of 2013. And so when you think about that, of households who have children, 80% of them have access to a mobile device in America. So we've got a huge market segment and also just a real ubiquitous problem that everyone experiences. So after speaking to parents and after really just thinking about this problem, what we recognize is what was needed is just not to take the job of parents away from them, but to get parents more involved and aware of the content and media that their children consume on a daily basis. So some interesting facts are when you ask parents, do you know what your child is consuming? And do you know how long they're consuming it for? Parents give you a resounding yes, we know, we're aware, we're monitoring. And then when you turn around and ask the children those same questions, you get mixed results. And so parents like to think that they're on top of this, but the reality is their children don't feel that presence. And when asked, would you change your consumption behavior? The children say yes. Well, I would change what I view on the internet if I knew my parents were watching.
One of the things we're really trying to do is when a mom is in a room, children behave differently with their friends, right? And we want to bring the mom online or in between this interaction between the device and the child into the chat room.
So here's how we line up against the competition. So you've got your traditional solutions with a clean router here, where this will do your filtering on your Wi-Fi router at home. You've got your K9 and NetNanny apps, which are a child-safe web browser that does the filtering within a single application. And then you have OpenDNS, which can be configured for a home router as well. And so where we differentiate ourselves is everything in addition to filtering that we offer. You don't have to be in Provo for 10 minutes to hear of 5 different internet filtering companies that have come and gone. It's not a real sexy business to be in, ironically. And so what we wanted is that, so here's where we win, is that our solution will work across the entire device. So no matter if your child's on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we can intercept that traffic and affect it and change the behavior of the device. And then
that's important because you're not going to buy a $600 phone and then just have some crappy child-safe browser and that's the only app you're going to use. Kids spend little time in a web browser.
Yeah, when you look at where they're putting their eyeballs.
On the mobile device.
Right. And they're only using mobile devices, statistically speaking. So, and then the other place we win is that regardless if they're on your home Wi-Fi that has filtering, or on a friend's Wi-Fi, or at church, or at school, or on a 4G LTE network, our filtering and our behavior-based controls are applicable there. So here's what BetterNet is launching with on April 30th.
So we got high-level reports, so and a time allocation dashboard, so you can go on and see how long the device has been used over the past day, when it was used, so you can see if it was up at 2 a.m., and we'll show you examples of that. Internet curfew, so you can set up a block of time where the internet won't work or a specific app won't work. We want to set up customizable alerts so that if the phone is on at 2 a.m., then you can get a text about it and go yell at your child. And then one thing we're really trying to push towards is behavior-based goals. So if my child uses their device or needs a device for on average 2 hours a day, and I want to get down to 1 hour, we want you to be able to set that up as a goal, and then slowly we'll wean you back down to an hour.
Yeah, and then we can also enforce Google search or safe search on all search engines. And so we want to talk about how it actually works. So we have, little Johnny here on his mobile device, and as Doug was saying, whether it's Wi-Fi or cellular network, we can capture all the internet requests. And so it all comes through BetterNet here, and then we can do our magic here and decide if it should go on to the big bad internet.
So now this is not drawn to scale. I don't want to give any false pretenses. So we're going to take a moment and talk about each of our separate roles in building this. And so in particular, I focused on the back-end infrastructure. Troy did a lot of our API work, and Colton did our front end. And so each of us faced different challenges. So for myself, on the infrastructure, it was how do we connect this to a front end for a product that was really just meant to be a command line interface. And so building, we've got our open source software and it works and it's very stable, but adding the hooks and making it tie in with our front end was one of the big challenges that I faced.
Yeah, so I worked on our APIs so that you can get on and sign up, make a new account, and add rules and see the information that Doug's piece parses for us. We built that on Google App Engine, which was really awesome. It made a lot of things super easy for us, and as is good.
It works.
It's great because I get to consume it. We did the front end in Angular, and it's more or less a single page application. And it was really fun to work with Angular. We hadn't spent a lot of time with it, so we were excited about it. And some of the difficulties we dealt with were dealing with states of if a user is logged in or logged out and routing them to the correct location. But I feel like we've got it mostly figured out.
So how many times did we actually just restart the front end?
This is our fourth iteration.
Just completely wiped it and started. We learned so much in Angular, and then be like, okay, we just gotta implement that from the beginning.
We need to start fresh.
So,
we need to start fresh again. But yeah, it's been a great learning process for us. Definitely, this is for sure my most favorite class of BYU, hands down. So because it's so much hands-on, and we've learned. So at least I've learned a lot.
Yeah, it's been my most profitable class by far.
So we want to give a little bit some use cases of some of our features. So here is one of the rules. I think this is actually Troy's.
Yeah. So I set up my phone and my wife's phone so that we can't use the internet on date night, and we have to talk to each other. Turns out she's a great gal. I'm really excited to know her. And this is just one example that I was spending too much time looking at Flipboard while we were hanging out, and now I can't look at it. It just won't load.
So for parents, the use case there is that you can set on all devices in the family. Dinner time is face to face, and where kids can give up their presence while they're present, and not have to battle and compete with constant notifications.
So the question is this a whitelist or a blacklist?
So so we categorize the traffic, and right now it's basically we're abstracting the concept to be called channels. So you can see right here we have Flipboard, Slack, Gmail, and Instagram. And so it's a group of blacklists. And I mean, it's not even that, because the action is, because eventually we want to be able to do both. And it will be a verb applied to each of these nouns.
And right now it's a blacklist. It's just a blacklist.
Yeah, so for this specific instance, it's blocking it during that, where's the time? From 6 p.m. to 11 p.m.
So that's a blacklist. Why are there only 4 items?
So those are just like the 4 that I was looking at the most, or that I wanted to block during this time.
So as a baseline, we blacklist 8 million pornographic websites and other websites that are malicious in some form. So, and that's kind of like, you just build on top of that. So once you have our service enabled,
Look at like Snapchat. So
right.
Would Snapchat work?
Yeah, so you could add, like, you have a Snapchat channel and you could block that. But I don't really look at Snapchat, so I didn't put it on my rule.
So
essentially, it's just what apps he uses when he's on a date night is what he wants to block.
Yeah.
But there'll be a group of like just social media.
Yeah.
And then that would contain all of those, plus Snapchat, plus Facebook. And so.
So my question is actually the front end to a bigger question. And
Yeah.
the thing is that there's new apps, new social networking apps all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's a moving target of which your group of youth are using it at a moment in time. So
Yeah.
the question is, will you be able to identify a certain app as, say, a social networking app or as some other messaging app?
So I think
Will it be blacklisted automatically, or do you have to know, okay, so wait a minute, this weird app is actually not a game, it's actually a messaging app?
So we'll have like a social media group, and then if they block that, as soon as we hear about the app, then we can go and categorize it as social media, and it'll be added to that group.
And a lot of those are categorized in the App Store already. So as we see the traffic, we can then modify it, and we'll also have a crowdsourcing ability to whereas certain tech-oriented parents block it, that sort of flags it for our attention to then, look in the App Store, where is it categorized, use it ourselves, and then add it. So while we're not like real time, I think we really, the advantages far outweigh the costs in, being a day behind, and, you having this dashboard will be able to see what is this unknown and can dig into it and, figure out where your kids are spending their time there.
So there's one more follow-up question I'll let you move on, and that is, can you categorically block all apps for certain?
What do you mean?
So let's say you're on date night, you don't want to have any apps in it.
Just block the whole internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. You can't set it up through our UI today, but we can easily add that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
Slide.
Okay. We've got another slide you might have questions for. So this is a weekly usage of one of our, I'm not sure whose it is.
We
don't want to fess up to it, but as you can see, Sunday is like Sunday is quadruple. I mean, it's twice as much as any other day, right? And so
this is like the first week we implemented this chart. So then the next slide is a snapshot of this last week, and Sunday is moved to this. So it gives us just the last 7 days.
But there's something powerful here about this. It's, just knowing that, hey, I spent way more time on my device on Sunday helps me realize, like, maybe this is something I want to change. And like, we didn't even have to set up any rules for that person. It's just the knowledge and the awareness of how much time they were spending on Sunday was enough to help them change.
Axes labels would be super helpful.
Yeah.
This is a slide of our financials.
Hey, we do have financials.
Yeah,
I'm doing it right.
So clearly, we're going to be very wealthy. So the real reason I put this slide in here is when we asked parents what they'd be willing to pay for this service, they said if we would take care of all devices within their home, and then they'd be willing to pay between $10 and $15 per month. And so we plan to launch with a $10 per month plan, and that will get you up to 10 devices. And then $1 additional if you have more devices. I'm the only person I know that has more than 10 devices in their family, but I'm sure there are some edge cases in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, so here are just like financial projections based on moving forward with this idea. And so some of the, just to give you an idea, we are aiming for 3,000 households on our platform by end of year, and then growing at a rate, I think we grow at a rate of 100% for the first year, and then we grow at a rate of 80 and then 75. And this is based on the industry that's expected to double in the next 3 years, actually. So it's a $1 billion industry that's going to double in 3 years. So to keep up with that, we are ambitious.
So tell me about your expense line. What's
So our-
rolled into the variable cost of your expense line? Just server costs or?
Server costs, we also did put marketing expenses as well as salary. And it's nothing that looks attractive in terms of a salary this year.
Yeah.
But we wanted to be realistic in what we could expect to pay someone to continue to manage this and roll features out. So that's what's in there.
And so here's some of the things that we need to get into,
So we're
like next steps for us.
Yeah, so we're looking for a business and marketing guy because we all are really heavy on the technical end. And some of the competitions that we've participated in have really exposed us to the MBA students, and they have been fabulous. They really have helped us out in ways that we were not prepared to. And so right now we're talking with a few of them to see if we can't partner. And that way we don't have to, like, we can continue to pursue our passions with this project and take a great product and turn it into a great business. So that's the goal.
And so our current marketing scheme right now is we have
Scheme.
it's a pyramid. And so what it is if you get 5 of your friends on our platform, we're going to give you 6 months free. And we have this set up already. Troy did some black magic to make it work. And so yeah, this is really kind of what we're hoping to help people is if they really love our product, they're going to invite their friends to use it as well. Another step is currently we do work for Android, but we haven't spent a whole lot of cycles on that to like make it super easy and useful to install. And so that's our next step. One of our next steps, I guess, is to
Just bringing them up
really
to
cater
par.
to Android as well.
So some of the, like through this process, some of the things that we've obsessed about is getting people onto our platform being super easy. So we're 2 weeks out from having our install app. Make it so as soon as you've installed our install app on your computer, you plug in your iPhone, you click a link on our website, and it takes care of everything. And that was a huge jump from our first iteration, which required you to erase everything off your device, reinstall iOS 8.2 or whatever the latest version is, and then bring back all your data from the cloud and reset up all your accounts. So
We'll bring back all your apps. There wasn't really an easy way to get back your data. So you had to relog into all your
yeah,
Gmail accounts and everything.
so that's one of our big areas of focus is trying to make it, for those who are not tech savvy, make it easy for them to get onto our platform. So next, here's a snapshot of some of the fun things that have happened for us. So we've participated not only with, this is me with the big check that we just won this last week. And so this competition with Miller NBC has been huge for us. It's really given us a lot of validation with talking to different experts and put us in contact with lots of enabling people. So we've done the Miller NBC. We also received $20,000 from Campus Founders Fund, and who helped us with our initial due diligence and helped us with that first pivot from filtering to really being behavior based. And then we also have really been enabled by Google for their Google Cloud Platform has offered us $100,000 in credit so that this first year, we don't have any expenses. So if this doesn't work, you can only blame us. So how are we doing on time?
We're getting tighter. Can you show us a demo?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't work.
Short demo.
Okay, so I'll start from scratch so you can really see. So going to our website, we log in there, and it just automatically logged me in because I'm signed into the browser with my Gmail account. And so you can see here's a list of all my devices. Anything that's red means that it's not been used in the past week. It's not had any active internet connection. So,
Well, or that could mean it's not configured properly. Because we haven't seen any
Also.
activity from it.
so I'm going to click on my 6 Plus, which is the device I use most often. And what you'll see is this is the parental dashboard, and my chart is not quite populating for this one. Let's try. Oh, it's because you ran your script.
That's not right.
So Troy, right before the presentation, ran a script which reset our pie chart. But you can see last night I was watching some YouTube before going to bed. And then this morning, just checking the email and getting up for the day. And then you can see a list of my Google searches. So how to impress professors and everything else that I'm interested in. And then down here at the bottom, you can see a list of, which days are most popular for me. And you can see right here, an hour and 58 minutes is how much I use my phone on average per day. So if I wanted to create a new rule, we come here, I say add a new rule, and we'll say no Facebook at night, and then 6 to 10 a.m. when I want to block it. I'll click Facebook.
Okay, so that list right there, that's a list that you make.
Yeah, so that's a list that we've tagged, and we will open it up so that users can also contribute to that list. And it's not going to be a long list. It will be something you search when we launch on April 30th. So then I select the device that I want this to apply to, and then I hit finish, and this rule is now created. And I can go back and look that we have no Facebook at night. And then you can see all the details of what that gives you. So this is a very basic rule set. The next iteration on this is to allow parents to set time allowances so that you could give your children an hour of Facebook, an hour of social media. And then what we'll do is we will dynamically slow down the internet connection as they approach their time limit. And that helps. Well, number one, it's the one thing that will get your child to put down their device is just that spinning wheel of death. And so as their internet slows down, we're not taking it away, but we're helping them to choose to put down the device and go find other things to do with their time. So that's been huge for us to enable parents to really leverage a model of accountability with their children's behavior in order to reward them and help bring their behavior in line with their family culture that the parent's in charge of.
Yeah, Morgan?
Yeah, so I'm just curious, do you guys have any plans to incorporate this into not only cellular devices, but also like gaming consoles?
So no, not today. Like we don't, like right now we really want to nail the mobile space. And yeah, it's not my phone, it's, so anyways, we really just want to nail it here, and as soon as we're sustainable, the next phase for us is really to make offerings to school districts and then to corporations. And so it's really easy to reskin our front end to go from 10 users to 1,000 or 3,000 users and have a school district manage that. And with legislation now, it's being mandated as we give out iPads to our kids in this classroom that we also have filtering and controls on there to manage that. So it's an easy next step for us. So that's the direction we'll most likely take. Game systems is not on the radar right now. So that's us.
So tell me a little bit about the architecture behind slowing the connection. Are you filtering traffic through your site, all traffic, or?
Yeah, so every network request goes through our service. And since we can just dynamically slow it. And it's basically like the request happens in real time, very fast. And then it's almost like it's put in a bucket and there's a little hole in the bucket and then we just leak it back to the user.
But all the bandwidth of all your users will eventually come through BetterNet?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
And so we will cluster and scale with, so the technology that we're building on is the same thing that Comcast uses to slow down your internet connection once you've exceeded, your terms. So
Sure.
they're
controlling the actual pipe, which is different than you saying filter through me, and so I need, potentially a massive pipe.
right. As we're just on top of Google and AWS, so
Yeah.
it's a massive pipe.
Tell me, where's your strategic competitive advantage here? Some of the technologies based on previous conversations are open source. Yeah, they're not real easy to use, but some tech savvy folks could come in. How do you maintain that, and what is that competitive advantage? I mean, everything looks beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
I'd say the biggest thing we have right now is the one-click install, right? In order to configure a device to use, the open source software, like it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And what it was previously was you deleted everything on your device and you get your apps back, but not all.
That's the official way to do it. They're like, if you were to look up online how to do it,
yeah.
That's how you have to do it. Doug's created such a hack, and it's so awesome. And now we don't have to do that. So
that, in addition to being behavior-based, rather than, everyone's very good at the filtering, and you are just playing a cat and mouse game as soon as, they throw up a wall, your children are very creative and get around it. And so trying to work with parents to give them the transparency, like we're not trying to give parents a false sense of, oh, your child's device is safe. It's, oh, you're still responsible for your child, and here's what your child consumes. Is that, and then you as a parent get to make the decision, is that in line with your culture and your, desired, consumption behavior? And so the competitive advantage is making it easy to get on there and then differentiating ourselves on how we actually are focused on human behavior rather than just technological building lists of black and white lists and categorizing the internet, which in itself is an impossible task.
Just a quick question. So if you're, it sounds like Colton said that your strategic advantage is that one-click install. And I don't know, this was from a while ago when you were talking that, your kind of way around that was through the backup restore. Is that still how you're doing that, or are you guys looking at a way to be able to do that without, in case Apple closes that channel, are you guys going to still be able to keep that competitive advantage if they close, being able to edit your backups on your phone?
So you got two parts to your question. One is the acknowledgement that if Apple were to change something, it very much affects us,
Right.
and as well as for Android. And then your second is, will our competitive advantage continue to remain competitive? And the answer is, if you put a bunch of smart guys in a room to focus on this problem, they're going to be able to build a solution as good as or better than ours. And so, no, our competitive advantage will not remain competitive unless we continue to iterate on it. And then we recognize the risk in being reliant on Apple and Google. But what gives us confidence is the shift in focus on the enterprise for both Apple and Android. And so our technology specifically takes advantage of the enterprise offering and the enterprise settings of the device itself. And so if they get rid of these issues, there's going to be a lot of big players going to bat to have those features still in there. So it's an acceptable risk at this point for us.
No, we can still
Grill us.
How do you handle SSL traffic with your net in Italy?
So we install a trust certificate on the device itself. And so this is really how we give you as a parent more transparency. So if you don't trust us, you shouldn't use our service. And that goes with your ISP. You shouldn't use them if you don't trust them, and anyone, any service. Like, we don't have intentions to become a data broker with any of that data, and we don't keep that data for very long. So as soon as we can aggregate it into one of our charts, we dump it. We have a high incentive because of cost of storage, and we get it to a format that has not only been stripped of anything that might be nefarious, but also is just useful to you as a parent.
So they connect to Facebook. They're connecting via SSL or CERT. Your service to Facebook, it's with Facebook CERT.
So right now we're only breaking SSL for your Google searches. Otherwise, it's all encrypted.
Yeah, so because the important thing is that we know that you are on Facebook for an hour or one amount of time. And then also that we have the ability to slow down that traffic. So you can send encrypted traffic through us. We see that you've reached your time limit, and then we just slow that down. The only place it's important for us to actually see what's happening is the Google searches to report that to parents. And it's right now optional to flip that on or off. And so, yeah.
In the future, do you anticipate or contemplate the future to be able to look at Facebook posts?
I think we would go through Facebook's API rather than go through decrypting traffic, because I think we already have plenty of privacy concerns, and I don't think I'm interested in continuing to shovel on more and more liability for us, especially when you're dealing with children and the internet. And so being aware of that, I think there are other channels that are a better approach. So I would go a different route on that one.
So I've looked into Apple's configuration for proxies.
Yeah.
And that looks pretty nice. Android's doesn't seem as locked down. Is that your, perspective also, or do you feel like they sufficiently secure their proxy settings such that people can, savvy kids can just go in and change those on the fly?
So Android, we're most likely going to be using a slightly different approach, utilizing the VPN, the always-on VPN, and then proxying behind that. And so Android's getting better and better. And since there are ways to get around it on Android that are easier, there are also ways that you can detect that they're getting around it with an app that's installed on the device. And so as soon as we have more of an Android offering, I could probably answer the question better. But the important part is that, as we've talked to parents and they say, we're approaching them saying, get rid of all the porn. And they're saying, well, my kid doesn't look at porn and I trust my child, but they're spending all day on the device. And so really the situation we have is parents who do trust their children and who are, generally good children, using these devices. And so if they're trying to, circumvent it, the only thing I really need to be concerned about is notifying the parents in a timely manner that, hey, we're noticing some inconsistent behavior on these devices. You should look into it, and potentially now would be a good time to have a conversation with your child about their behavior on the internet. So that's key for us, is just giving parents a compelling reason to have conversations.
I don't need the answer now, but if in your final report, you'll just help draw the boundary of, again, what you did this semester versus previous. Looks great, though.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we wrap it up? All right, thanks so much. Great job.